Wayman, would you please cover the notice regarding electronic participation?
Yeah, sure. Pursuant to statute 15.263A, the Finance and Fiscal Resource Committee of the county will conduct this meeting today via electronic communication to protect the public health. A member of the public wishing to listen to the proceedings or provide public comment may do so by using the internet connections or phone numbers and passcodes, which are shown on the screen there. Closed captioning is available via an internet connection. Those wishing to provide input or ask questions in advance of the meeting regarding business to come before the committee may submit the input or questions to public comment at kentcountymi.gov. Public comment at kentcountymi.gov. Anyone disrupting the meeting by using offensive language or actions may be removed from the meeting.
Thank you. Pam, would you please call the roll and then everyone just state your name and your location?
Sure. Commissioner Antor.
Here, Sparta, Michigan.
Commissioner Breeby.
Here, Gaines Township, Kent County, Michigan.
Commissioner Bolkowski. Commissioner Bolkowski. Commissioner Green.
Here, Plainfield Township, Kent County, Michigan.
Commissioner Morgan.
I'm here, Roger Morgan Land, Cortland Township.
Commissioner Sparks. Commissioner Sparks. Commissioner Womack. Commissioner Womack. Commissioner Wooden.
Here, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Kent County.
Chair Jones.
Here, Cannon Township. Thank you very much. And with that, we have quorum. We will open up with public comment. If there is any public comment, please chime in with your public comment at kentcountymi.gov or raise your hand.
Don't see any hands raised in the chat, and there are no messages in the public comment email inbox.
Thank you, Pam. With that, we will close public comment and go on to a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Moved by Breeby.
Or Morgan.
Moved and supported. Any questions, comments, or discussion on the consent agenda? All right, seeing none, Pam, would you please call the roll to pass the consent agenda?
Commissioner Antor.
Yes.
Commissioner Breeby.
Yes.
Commissioner Bolkowski. Commissioner Green.
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan.
Yes.
Commissioner Sparks. Commissioner Womack. Commissioner Wooden.
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes.
That motion passes.
Thank you. That brings us to item number 3 from the Administrator's Office and the Board of Commissioners, the Experience Grand Rapids Agreement. Wayman, would you please read the action request?
Sure. This is a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners to approve a 5-year agreement, January 1, 2021 to December 31, 2025 with Experience Grand Rapids. Board of Commissioners has historically committed an appropriation of the lodging excise tax, hotel motel tax revenues to convention and tourism promotion through an agreement with Experience Grand Rapids. I, as the administrator, am recommending a new 5-year agreement for services to be provided by Experience Grand Rapids and compensation fee for those services. The services provided in this agreement are consistent with the previous agreements. Under the term of the proposed agreement, Experience Grand Rapids will be paid a fee equaling to between 17.75% and 18.5% of lodging excise tax receipts collected, depending on the year. Experience Grand Rapids will present to the Board of Commissioners a preliminary annual report on or before October 1 of each year, with the final report to be delivered following the end of each calendar year. The contract has been approved as to form by Corporate Counsel. There's a memo that is in your packet as well, which explains the history of the agreement and some history about the hotel motel tax fund. Doug Small from Experience Grand Rapids, I believe, is on the phone. Jeff Dodd is also here. Jeff and I have met with Doug a couple of times over the last year, 2 or 3 times now. And we're here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Wayman. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved, Bulkowski.
Support by Womack.
Thank you. We have moved and supported, and we will take questions, comments, and discussion. Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a few comments. I think this was our 3rd renewal of the 5-year agreement. I think we first went to this percentage basis in 2010. I think it's worked very well. In 2019, I think we had probably 5 times our return on investment. And I think the rate's been pretty flat over the last couple of years, but fully supportive of this agreement and glad to see that Wayman was able to negotiate a 5-year extension.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Chair Bulkowski with his hand up. I don't,
Yes, Commissioner Bukowski, go ahead.
yeah, first, thanks for your patience with me signing in just a little longer to get to the office than I had hoped. It snowed last night, in case anybody was wondering. And then want to echo Commissioner Morgan's comments. I do think this is a great investment for the county. I mean, Experience Grand Rapids is the proverbial, and Commissioner Morgan usually says this, and I'm going to take his line. They definitely punch above their weight class. I mean, they're competing in non-COVID times with cities our size and bigger and competing extremely well, supporting our hotels and motels and convention business. So just very excited about another 5 years once the COVID gets behind us. And then I don't think there are conflicts of interest that prevent me from voting, but Experience Grand Rapids does sponsor a few events at Disability Advocates, as does other county entities, but just so that people know that. But none of that money hits me. That's just paying for catering and room rental and stuff like that.
Hey, thank you, Commissioner Bukowski. Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Chair. Echo the previous sentiments, and certainly looking forward to seeing our continued partnership as we work to recover. I had one clarifying question. I'm looking at the memo that Women provided, and first talking about how the percentage range in the last 5-year term range between 17 and 18%. This range is just slightly higher, but mentioned that one of the main reasons for this current percentage contribution rate was for transparency and simplicity of budgeting. Is that because there were costs that weren't in, that we would pay them that weren't embedded in that percentage then?
No, I think it was just simply because we wanted to make it really clear about the flat rate. And I think in times where there's a growing economy, the past few years, things were really good for them. In a down year like this past year, things are really flat for them. Those big swings can create problems for their ability to perform. So I think we wanted to stabilize the rate and just keep, I'd keep the guessing game out of the way and give them something that they can depend on.
Gotcha. So we are essentially increasing it separately, which is understandable, but it's an increase, not necessarily embedding non-percentage costs into the percentage. Perfect. Thank you.
And if I can clarify real quickly, there was, if they reached a certain revenue total, they got a higher percentage in the old contract. So it was a base plus a percentage bonus based upon the receipts. So this just makes it flat regardless, if that helps.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Do we have any other hands?
Mr. Morgan has-
Madam Chair, can I have a second bite of the apple here?
Yes, please, Commissioner Morgan, go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering if Mr. Small can just talk about, I know that the downtown hotels benefit, but also the outlying, county hotels benefit from their marketing arm. I was wondering if Doug could go ahead and just elaborate on that a little bit for me.
Sure. Doug, are you on the line?
I am. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Chair Jones and Roger, for the opportunity. And first, I should thank all of you for your support of our efforts to produce lodging excise tax, continued to produce lodging excise tax for this county. As you're all well aware, we're going to be presenting, by the way, at the February 25th board meeting, our annual report out to you. It will not be as sexy as 2019's annual report out, but nonetheless, we're proud of the continued efforts that our team is doing on behalf of Kent County, regardless of the pandemic. And I also should not be remiss in thanking you for your confidence in giving us a grant through the federal CARES Act, which we used over the course of 4 months in 2020 to try to help our businesses, mostly small businesses in the tourism industry, through this pandemic. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Roger, to your question, it's devastating. In fact, I just read there's no other industry devastated more around the country than the travel industry. We are a community that's proud that had 10 consecutive years of record growth in the lodging industry. Your commitment to us was around $2 million in 2019. I believe Jeff could tell you that you recouped well over $10 million in that year for lodging excise tax. So your investment is working. The current occupancy levels, though we don't pin everything on occupancy, we pin it more on revenue, but the occupancy, the revenue follows the occupancy. Give you an example, downtown hotels, a solid year should be running north of 70% occupancy. They have not been over 30% since this pandemic started. That also mirrors pretty much the entire county. I believe my last figures that came from Smith Travel Research shows that countywide, we ran right at about 30% occupancy. We did have a good weekend. We take any little small victory. We had a great weekend for Valentine's weekend. We actually had, I believe, the JW Marriott full. That used to be a no-brainer for us, but to hear that a hotel is full in today's situation is outstanding. So it's baby steps. My partner at West Michigan Sports Commission, who I believe is also on this call, Mike Gusweiler, we both continue to work together to try to bring in business as we can, but we're only as good as what the board has given us. There are still no meetings happening. We had our first meeting of any kind due to a little waiver they were giving. The Michigan Chiefs of Police met at the Amway Grand Hotel last week. I went in and met with the meeting executive. It was good to see people moving around a hotel and a hotel performing the way they should perform in today's times. So we're up to the task. You got other business to take care of. I won't take up any more of your time, but you have our commitment to continue to grind away and keep the Kent County and Grand Rapids brand alive and aware globally. So thank you, and I'll answer any questions if there are any.
Well, Doug, while we still have you on the line, you have a relationship with Experience Grand Rapids has a relationship with West Michigan Sports Commission that financially supports them with this contract, correct?
That is correct. Yes, we several years back, as Commissioner Morgan stated, there was a change in and how we were funded. At one point, I arrived here in 2008 to take this job. We were paid a flat fee, as was Mike in the West Michigan Sports Commission. When their contract with the county expired, at the time, Administrator DeLabio said, let's move to a percentage basis of the lodging excise tax, which we agreed to. And he also said, at that point, I want you to be responsible for providing funding to the West Michigan Sports Commission, which I in spite of their leadership, I agreed to that also. But it's worked well. We meet on a regular basis. Mike does get a percentage of what you've granted us, and he too has returned a handsome amount. Your investment is working with him also, and I believe I'm not wrong, Pam. He's going to be presenting along with us on the 25th.
Thank you, Doug.
Welcome.
While we are still vetting and asking questions, we have Jeff on the line, right? Jeff, you there?
Yep.
Jeff, what happens when the receipts for the lodging excise tax drop and there's not enough to cover the bond payment for the entities that we have?
Well, in the past, the general fund has had to make up that difference. I think it was roughly 7.1 million during the initial downturn about 10 years ago, 11 years ago. We're proposing, I think we're going to propose here another contribution from general fund to close out 2020.
And the reason I bring this up is it really emphasizes the importance of having Experience Grand Rapids and the West Michigan Sports Commission as partners in this arena, because it does fall on us for the shortfall out of general fund if those receipts don't make the mark that's needed. So I've of course been on Experience Grand Rapids board for quite a few years, along with the West Michigan Sports Commission board. Both of those are because of my position as a commissioner, and I really have gotten to know the work of both these organizations and can't say enough great things about what they do, how they do it, and how lucky we are in Kent County to have them as partners. Do we have any other questions or comments before we take a roll call vote? Not seeing any other hands. Pam, would you please call the roll to pass agenda item 3? Pam, are you there? Wayman, are you there?
Yeah, we're here. We were on mute for
Sorry.
some reason.
We
Okay,
got muted.
we got muted. There's a gremlin in the house.
Yes. Sorry.
All
about
right,
that.
Pam, would you please call the roll to pass agenda item number 3?
Yes. Commissioner Antor,
Yes.
Commissioner Breve,
Yes.
Commissioner Volkowski,
Yes. Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sparks, Commissioner Womack,
Yes.
Commissioner Wooden,
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes.
That motion passes.
Thank you. That brings us to agenda item number 4 from the Circuit Court. Wayman, would you please read the action request?
This is a recommendation of the Board of Commissioners to accept and appropriate $75,000 from the Michigan Economic Development Corp. for a 17th Circuit Court Youth Sexual Offender Treatment Program, and to authorize the board chair to designate, execute the grant agreement, approve extensions, amendment, and increases to the grant appropriations not to exceed 15% of the original award. The Circuit Court submitted a request for $75,000 for the program to the MEDC. Grant dollars will be used to provide services to youth 17 to 24 years of age. Potential parents who are charged with a sexual-related offense may be referred for admission to the program by a court probation officer, court services member, defense attorney, or prosecutor during any phase of the criminal process. The grant was submitted to the MEDC December 18, 2020. The grant agreement was received January 25, 2021. The term of the grant is from October 1, 2020 through December 30, 2021. Prior to signature, corporate counsel will review and approve all documents as to form.
Thank you, Wayman. Is there a motion to approve?
Moved by Wood.
Support by Womack.
Thank you. Moved and supported, and we will take questions, comments, and discussion. I don't see any hands, so Pam, would you please call the roll to pass agenda item number 4?
Commissioner Danforth,
Yes.
Commissioner Brady,
Yes.
Commissioner Bukowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sparks, Commissioner Womack,
Yes.
Commissioner Wooden,
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes.
That motion passes.
Thank you. That brings us to agenda item number 5 from the Health Department. Wayman, would you please cover the action request?
You bet. This is a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners to approve the Health Department's Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs grant agreement, accept and appropriate $97,600 to the 2020-21 Health Fund budget, and to authorize Board Chair designate to execute the grant agreement, approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation not to exceed 15% of the original award. LARA has provided funding to be used for education, communication, and outreach regarding the Michigan Medical Marijuana Act. The Health Department will develop and implement an educational prevention-focused media campaign that emphasizes safe storage of marijuana products and youth use prevention. And the goal of this campaign is to reach many of the county's residents with a wide age range, economic spectrum, using both traditional forms of marketing and digital social media-based marketing platforms. Grant funds will be used to cover the cost of existing staff, contractual expenses for development, implementation of the media campaign, supplies, and indirect costs. The agreement period for the LAR agreement is January 1, 2021 through September 15, 2021. Assistant Corporate Counsel has reviewed and approved the agreement as to form.
Thank you, Wayman. Is there a motion to approve?
Moved by Brady.
In support?
Support by Wooden.
Thank you. Questions, comments, and discussion on this? Yes, Commissioner Wooden.
Thank you, Chair. My question is actually a little more tangential, so if we want to defer to miscellaneous, I would understand. Have we started to get more precise figures on use tax revenues that we've collected because of the medical marijuana dispensaries that have now opened up since the passage in 2018, and figuring out how much revenue is coming to the county?
Jeff or Gail, are you on the line? I don't know the answer to that. Either of you on the line could help with that?
I'm on the line, but I do not know the answer to that either. So we'd have to do some research.
No worries. Feel free to get back to us later about it. Thank you.
So Wayman, I had one on this one. I had actually a few communications with residents in my area when this is one we've had before, correct?
Yes, there has been a similar grant previous. Yes, I believe.
Yes.
Correct.
And I'm curious, who is responsible for the actual messaging that utilizes this grant?
It will be responsibility of the health department. They, along with their partners. Adam, are you on the line, or Teresa?
Hey, good morning. Yeah, I'm on the line.
Hi,
Could
Adam.
you respond to that in terms of who puts the messaging out? That's our role, right? I'm assuming that that's the health department's role.
Yes, that is correct. We will work with a communications vendor to develop that messaging consistent with this program and its objectives, and consistent with the evidence base of health education knowledge that we have, that with strategies and messages focused around safe storage and preventing youth use.
So I just am curious, the one we've used in the past, we won't necessarily be using that same plan and billboard from previous years. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, I think we would do something fresh this time.
Great. That's what I wanted to know. Anyone else have questions, comments, or discussion? All right, not seeing any other hands. Pam, would you please call the roll to pass agenda item number 5?
Commissioner Antor,
Yes.
Commissioner Breve,
Yes.
Commissioner Bukowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sparks, Commissioner Womack,
Yes.
Commissioner Wooden,
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes.
That motion passes.
Thank you. That brings us to item number 6 from the Health Department. Wayman, would you please read the action request?
You bet. This is a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners to approve the Kent County Health Department's Rachel Ray Foundation grant agreement, accept and appropriate $10,000 to the 2020-21 Health Fund budget, and to authorize the board chair designate to execute the grant agreement, approve extensions, amendments, and increases to the grant appropriation not to exceed 15% of the original award. The Rachel Ray Foundation's Best Friends Animal Society is a nonprofit corporation that provides grants to animal welfare organizations like the Kent County Animal Shelter, who are working to save animal lives by providing unfunded or underfunded programs to reduce euthanasia rates of dogs and cats in Kent County. The Health Department has received funding to implement programs that will reduce the number of cats and dogs euthanized. These programs include a communication education campaign and collaborating with local veterinarians to perform outpatient medical procedures. It also includes funds to implement behavior programs for high-risk dogs and to provide post-adoption programs to support adopters in transitioning newly adopted dogs and cats into their homes. Funds will be used to cover costs of supplies, spay-neuter costs, and education outreach campaign, veterinary services, and training costs. The agreement period for the Rachel Ray Foundation grant is February 1, 2021 through January 31, 2022. Assistant Corporate Counsel has reviewed and approved the grant as to form.
Thank you, Wayman. Is there a motion to approve?
Moved by Brebe.
Thank you.
Support by Womack.
Thank you. Questions, comments, and discussion? Commissioner Bukowski.
Thanks, Chair. Since I was late, I do assume people passed or y'all passed the first agenda item today, which also was related to this topic. I guess my question for Adam, or if there's somebody from the shelter on, is do we have the need this year to increase these services? I mean, I've only seen a couple of news articles that pointed out like a lot of animal shelters are empty because people are adopting dogs and cats to keep them company as they work from home. So again, I don't know. I mean, again, it's great that we're getting these dollars for this needed service. However, that's my question, especially since this one looks to be time limited in that we have to expend it within the year.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Commissioner. Yes, we certainly do have need for this grant and for the things that it specifically does. And generally, so we have seen a steady to slightly downward trend in the number of animals brought into the animal shelter in the most recent years. And that's a great thing, of course. But we do certainly still have lots of animals there, and we always expect it in the springtime, especially with cats, that we're going to see a large increase in the numbers. And so having a program like this in place where we can do something intentional with community cats and barns and farmers and some campgrounds and doing some things like that make a lot of sense. In addition to the more specific work with dogs that either have a problematic health history or that have a difficult behavior history, where we can afford through this grant to provide them either some better veterinary care or to get them some behavioral counseling, if you will, therapy for the dog, to help break some of those bad habits. Those kind of things are always going to be in need. And so this really is something we think could reduce the number of animals euthanized by about 190 this year.
All right, thank you.
All right, anyone else? Not seeing any others. Pam, would you please call the roll to pass agenda item number 6?
Sure. Commissioner Antor,
Yes.
Commissioner Breve,
Yes.
Commissioner Bukowski,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Sparks, Commissioner Womack,
Yes.
Commissioner Wooden,
Yes.
Chair Jones.
Yes.
That motion passes.
Thank you. That will bring us to item number 7 on the agenda, which is miscellaneous. Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just rather quickly, been a lot of discussion. I've been involved with discussions. Wayman, do you mind if I follow up with a phone call to kind of get a better understanding of a possible COVID money available for some of these organizations that
Yes.
get hard by the the COVID response that have kind of been, we've had Doug Small on, and as we all know, the convention centers have been hit pretty hard. So I'd just like an offline discussion with you if you got a minute later on this afternoon.
Sure, would love to, Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Not seeing any other hands. Do we still have Dr. Adam London on the line?
Yes.
I am.
Adam, can you take just a minute to cover 2 things? We had that constituent letter on animal care. Did you get that as well, that are left outside?
Yeah, I did see that that letter from Ms. Stuffins, and we have worked with her and her organization and other organizations in the past and understand their concerns. Last year, we did create an animal crimes work group consisting of our own corporate counsel, the prosecuting attorney's office, the sheriff's office, and animal control to provide a better support structure for when we have these difficult cases, to make sure we have the right evidence collection strategies, we have the right legal strategy, and we have all of the different enforcement teams working together. And I think that's been successful to date. I think we have streamlined our processes. In many cases, of course, we don't know about these situations until it's very late. I don't think, in the particular case that she referenced, I don't think that we had a presence there on site for quite some time, a couple of years at least, but I'll have to look more into that. But we are looking at other strategies and other ordinances and regulations, laws from other states and communities to try to see if there's a way that we can, more appropriately firm up what the expectations are, especially when it gets extremely cold like it has been the past few weeks. So that is a concern that we share. We do see every year some animals injured because of these conditions.
Thanks, Adam. And then we had quite a miscellaneous during our last session, and kudos to Wayman and Stan Stack and everyone involved with getting us a renegotiated contract with the SMG group, CAA. Wayman, you want to just take a few minutes to comment on that? Is now signed and moved in a reasonable direction?
Yes, we are very pleased that we're at the point now. There's rent-free arrangement there. We're watching for costs related to utilities, for maintenance, for security and those things. We'll review those costs every 2 weeks. It did take us a little longer than what we had intended to get that wrapped up, but we were very fortunate to resolve it late last week, Friday, I think it was. And no negatives I've heard back. Full speed ahead. We're hoping to get more vaccine. Maybe Adam can talk about that. I think we're at 13,000 vaccinated out of the facility as of Monday. I think that number might have climbed. I'm not sure, Adam, by the end of the day. You have more recent numbers on that, but I'm very happy, relieved that we're beyond that now and we can get the work done. And Adam, you want to comment?
Yeah, Wayman, that number was correct until yesterday. 4,000 more people were vaccinated there yesterday, and we'll be open 3 more days this week. And now that second doses are coming due, we're going to be open there most weekdays, and certainly as much as it takes for us to move the vaccine, all of the vaccine every week. And we do have the attention of all levels of government here in Michigan, and actually at the federal level as well. So they're aware of what we're doing, and I do expect that vaccine allocation is going to grow. It's going to grow pretty quickly, and especially as the Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca products become available in the next month.
So we're in a prime position to receive more vaccine when it's ready, and that really is really a good thing. So we hope that we can get more.
That's excellent. While we're on the topic of vaccine, I'm curious, Adam, I happen to know that Walmarts in Florida can give the vaccine. I know because I did what I could to help get my mom an appointment. And when will something like that be teed up for our distribution system?
I think we'll see more pharmacies in the game once the Johnson & Johnson product becomes available. The Pfizer and the Moderna products are just so difficult to hold, and with there being the requirement for that second dose, makes it unwieldy for pharmacies to manage those. We do have some pharmacy partners that are doing it now in a very limited way, but a pharmacy, I think pharmacies are going to be part of the end game for this. They're going to be part of the sustaining of this going forward. Eventually, hopefully in the next 6 months or so, I hope to see this become like the flu shot, where you can get the COVID vaccine at any pharmacy, any doctor's office. We don't need to do mass vaccine clinics. We don't need to do all that we've done here recently. But in the meantime, as long as we just have very limited products that we can't create a mass gathering in a Walmart or any pharmacy for that matter, it makes it difficult to use these current products in a mass vac scale at a pharmacy.
So, Dr. London, you brought that up. Is the COVID vaccine a 1-2 shot and then done, or is that something yearly that people will have to look at doing?
So we don't exactly know right
Okay.
now, and that's because we just don't have enough time after those second doses to track the immune response over time. So there is some thought that it might become a yearly thing like the flu shot. We recommend it on an annual basis, but we really have to track that immune presence over the course of time. And maybe it's once every year, maybe it's every 2 or 3 years, but hopefully it's even longer than that, but stay tuned.
Okay. Anyone else have any commissioner miscellaneous this morning? Pam, is there anything? So we have a work session that is to follow this finance committee meeting. We have a finance and physical resources committee work session, budget boot camp. That is to start at 9:30. It is 9:10, or immediately following the finance and physical resources committee meeting. Is it the same link, Pam, or is it a different Zoom link?
It is a different Zoom link.
Okay, so I think what we're gonna do is it's 9:10. I think in a moment here, I'll adjourn this meeting, and then why don't we plan on starting at 9:15, the Finance and Physical Resources Committee work session boot camp. So with that, this Finance and Fiscal Resources Committee meeting is adjourned. Our next meeting date is Tuesday, March 2nd at 8:30 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.